Ireland is to close 103 branches in the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland, reducing its physical presence around the country by more than a third. The closures are to take place from September. The decision to shut the branches, which the bank said was due to the shift to digital banking, has been criticised by unions and rural groups.
Just over a week after Ulster Bank announced plans to wind down operations here comes another significant blow to bank customers. Bank of Ireland is to shut 88 branches in the Republic of Ireland, leaving 169 open, with a further 15 to close in Northern Ireland. The branches shutting are predominantly self-service locations. The closures won't start until September, but will be completed by the end of that month. The bank said it recognised it would be disappointing for customers, but claimed the move was a response to customer demand following significant investment in its digital services.
We've seen a seismic shift away from branches and towards digital usage over a number of years. This isn't just in the last 12 months. And it's important that we prioritise and put our resources where our customers want to engage with us most. And that tipping point has been reached over a period of time.
To compensate for the branch closures, the bank has struck a deal with An Post to enable customers carry out some banking services, including counter cash and cheque lodgements and cash withdrawals, in over 900 post offices. Around 200 staff will be impacted by this decision, but the bank said there won't be any compulsory redundancies, with those affected either being redeployed or they'll be able to avail of a voluntary severance package. But unions say the move is unacceptable, shameful and will hit vulnerable customers most. It's called for the move to be delayed until late next year.
People who aren't digitally literate to elderly people still want bank services and want branches to be able to do their business.
It's coming at a time when people haven't been using branches because they've been either their businesses have frozen or they themselves are cocooning, and it seems an extraordinary decision to make during this time.
The news came as the bank announced a loss of €374 million for last year, an indicator of the challenges it and other lenders face.
Well, let's have a word now with our business editor, Will Goodbody. And Will, so soon after, as you said in your report, so soon after the Ulster Bank announcement, these closures announced today by Bank of Ireland are painting a pretty grim picture for the banking sector here.
Certainly is. I mean, it's telling us a few things, I think, about the sector at the moment, Vivian. First, that the nature of how people are banking is really changing a lot. Fewer people are using branches and they're using digital channels more. Bank of Ireland says that before the pandemic, the footfall in branches was down around a quarter. It's now down around a half. And in these branches in particular, it's down over 60%. Second, I think it tells us that this is a sector that's under immense pressure to cut costs. Now, Bank of Ireland maintains this is not a cost-cutting exercise, but there's no doubt that they're going to save quite a lot of money by closing all of these branches around the country. And really, it and other banks need to cut their costs because they're finding it quite difficult to make a decent margin and to make profits for their shareholders. And finally, it tells us something about, I suppose, the way the customers who want to carry out in-person transactions in the future are going to have far fewer choices in some of these towns. Maybe the Bank of Ireland that's closing is the last remaining one in the town. Add to that the 88 Ulster Bank branches that we know are going to likely close at some point over the next couple of years. KBC announced 4 hub closures last year, AIB 5 mergers of different branches around the country as well. So we could end up with up to maybe 200 branches across the country, across all the main retail banks closing over the coming years. And that's going to be a big blow for customers who really like to go into the bank and do their transactions in there.
All right, Will, thanks for that. Now, 320,000 children returned to the classroom learning today for the first time since December. They include primary school children up to and including second class, as well as 60,000 sixth-year Leaving Cert students.
Mixed feelings at the gates of St Mary's Junior School in Dublin's Clondalkin this morning. Some trepidation, reluctance even, but pragmatism too.
Are you happy that she's back?
Yeah, I am kind of and kind of not, but so we have to just take it day by day then.
I'm not nervous at all. I was initially nervous in September when they first came back to school, but seeing the structure that the school had in place in September, it was great, so I was confident with her coming back.
I'm just so happy for her. She wanted to go back to school so much.
I miss Joe Priest.
It's a little boy out of our class.
So. Why did you miss him?
Because he's my friend and I like to play with Joe Priest.
For the children, that's the only thing today's about, seeing teacher again and their friends.
Hi, Joe Priest.
Let's look under things to see if we can find them, will we? Okay, let's have a look.
Only dogs.
This school, like others, intends maximising the use of outdoor spaces now. It's safer.
Come here. Hello, Lennon. I can see it. It's moving.
Our priority is, the children returning to school in a very safe place, but they need to, for their own health and well-being, they need to be in school and they need to be around their peers to develop socially.
But worries remain.
I'm quite nervous, to be honest with you. With these new variants, you just don't know what's going on. Like, his immune system will be lower than typical kids, so just a bit nervous.
Meanwhile, sixth-year students at Coláiste Ciarán in County Limerick returned to a brand new school building.
I think really now that this new campus and the decision that has come for the Leaving Cert has really made such a positive impact on all of us in such difficult times that we're in at the moment.
I think we've had a really tough year, all of us in sixth year, and I think that this is just one good step in the right direction for us to really get motivated for the exams to come.
Back at St Mary's today, parents and the school caretaker planted bulbs and flowers to welcome spring and reopening and hope.
Well, our education correspondent Emma O'Kelly joins us now. And Emma, as you say, the focus is on safety for many this morning. And the Minister for Education has been addressing that this morning. What has she said?
Yes, Vivian, because it's one thing reopening schools like today, but it's quite another thing keeping them open. And of course, for the reopening of schools to continue, this first phase has to be a success. So the Minister, Norma Foley, was asked about these safety concerns that everybody really has around reopening on radio this morning. She said that the mitigation measures that are in place in schools, that they were reviewed and they've been recommended by Public Health. And that includes the measures around ventilation, because ventilation is an issue that is subject to quite an amount of scrutiny at the moment. On another issue of contention, masks for small children, because if you remember, masks are mandatory for students at second level, but they're not for primary school children. The Minister was asked about this. She said she reiterated the current advice that primary school children do not have to wear masks, even though she acknowledged there were concerns around the increased transmissibility of this new variant. Also on antigen testing, reiterating again, Norma Foley, the current advice that antigen testing is not the way to go in schools. But she made clear that on both of these last issues, masks and antigen testing, that these were matters that would be kept under review. And I think that's very much the situation with the reopening, Vivian. It's very fluid. People are watching this very carefully, and all these measures will be kept under review.
All right, Emma O'Kelly, thank you. New figures show that almost 46,000 people aged 85 and older have now received their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. The vaccine rollout is continuing to be accelerated this week. It comes as case numbers, however, have stalled over the past few days. Well, let's have a word now with our health correspondent, Fergal Bowers, who's at the Department of Health. And Fergal, new figures out today about the vaccination rollout. How is the progress on vaccinating the over 85s?
Well, we can see from these HSE figures the progress on the national vaccination campaign, and these are figures up to last Friday. And what we see is by last Friday, 426,070 vaccine doses had been administered, and of these, 285,780 were first doses, and 140,290 were second doses. So that latter group there, they're fully vaccinated. We also see, though, in relation to people aged 85 years and older, that 45,741 of that group have got their first dose. So the aim really is that over the last 3 weeks up to the end of the week coming, that people over 85 would get their first dose, and the HSE will probably meet that target, although some GPs are saying they haven't got their vaccines yet. There's 72,000 people in that group to vaccinate, so it's going to take quite some time, and many more weeks really, to have them fully vaccinated. And finally, when we look at those case numbers, well, today 600 to 700 a day we're hearing, over the last few days. It has stalled at that figure, but we're told that Ireland is on track to have an incidence rate among the lowest in Europe, and the numbers in hospital and in ICU today reducing.
Fergal, thank you. Health officials in England are trying to trace a person carrying a new coronavirus variant that medics warn may be more contagious. The P1 strain was first found in Brazil in January. 5 people who are carrying the variant and who recently returned from Brazil to England and Scotland have been identified and located. A 6th person in England tested positive on a home testing kit but did not submit contact details. In Myanmar, the ousted civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi is facing 2 new criminal charges a month after she was detained following a military coup. Demonstrators took to the streets again today. At least 18 people were killed yesterday, the highest death toll since the daily protests against the military takeover began.
Protesters in Myanmar's largest city of Yangon writing contact numbers on their arms so they can be identified if they get injured. They're back on the streets today following yesterday's violent crackdown in which the UN Human Rights Office says at least 18 people were killed and 30 others injured. Amidst the tear gas, the sound of the sustained firing of rubber bullets, with claims too that live rounds added to yesterday's death toll, protesters showing what appears to be a bullet hole that pierced through a helmet. It's exactly a month since a military coup triggered these massive and relentless nationwide protests. And today, Myanmar's ousted civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi was back in court via video link, her lawyers given little access.
We cannot have any access to the court to...
The 75-year-old now faces 2 more criminal charges, including violating communication laws and inciting public unrest. Eleanor Burnhill, RTE News.
A 32-year-old man has gone on trial for the murder of Daithí Douglas, who was shot dead as part of the ongoing Hutch-Kinahan feud. Lee Canavan from Edenbrook in Rathfarnham in Dublin has pleaded not guilty. The Special Criminal Court was told today that it's the prosecution's case that Canavan was the gunman who shot Douglas 6 times.
Daithí Douglas was shot dead here at his partner's shop, Shoestown in Dublin, on the 1st of July 2016 as part of the ongoing Hutch-Kinahan feud. A gunman walked in and shot the 55-year-old 6 times as he took a meal break at the counter. The murder weapon was left at his head with the hammer cocked. Mr. Douglas's daughter rushed to his aid, but he was pronounced dead in hospital within the hour. The trial of Lee Canavan for the murder began today. The prosecution told the Special Criminal Court that the 32-year-old is the person who literally pulled the trigger. Senior counsel Sean Gillan said in his opening statement that 4 cars and their occupants acted in planning and prosecution of the murder. Canavan, he said, was forensically linked to 2 of those cars, a Fiesta and the Mercedes, which was used to bring him to and from the murder. He was, he said, also identified on CCTV throughout the course of the day. He was with the others involved at a restaurant after the murder, and he was also linked to the destruction of one of those cars 3 days later. The court was also told today that Lee Canavan acted with others in a carefully and meticulously planned assassination, with a variety of roles assigned and tasks allocated to ensure that Daithí Douglas would meet his death in the way he did. Lee Canavan has pleaded not guilty. The trial is expected to last 4 weeks. Paul Reynolds, RTE News, the Special Criminal Court.
Gordon Elliott has said he cannot apologise enough after an image of him sitting on a dead horse was circulated on social media. The trainer said he's cooperating with an investigation by the Irish Horse Racing Regulatory Board.
When the image was first circulated on Saturday evening, there were doubts about the authenticity of the photograph, which appeared to show one of Ireland's leading trainers sitting on a dead horse on the gallops. But an apology from Elliott today said he apologises profoundly for any offence that this photo has caused, and says he can categorically state that the welfare of each and every horse under my care is paramount and has been central to the success that we have enjoyed. Elliott asked people to consider this statement as opposed to the various falsehoods and misinformation being circulated on social media. While sponsors including Betfair have cut ties with the Meath trainer, Michael O'Leary has confirmed they will continue their 15-year relationship with the Grand National winning trainer, despite what he called a momentary lapse of judgment. But the shockwaves are being felt within the racing community.
I can't help but feel anything else but I felt so sad, because the number one thing that we have to get out to everybody is how much we care about these horses. It is so important that everybody who is watching this channel, who has any interest at all in our sport, knows that at the heart of this are people who love these animals.
Elliott says he will cooperate fully with the investigation by the Irish Horse Racing Regulatory Board, which could scarcely come at a worse time as the racing world prepares for the Cheltenham Festival in 2 weeks' time. Jackie Hurley, RTE News.
Now, still to come on the 1 o'clock news, the Crown is king at the Golden Globes.
You're not getting this back.
What happens when Lenore lovers try Lenore and scent boosters?
What is it?
It's the Lenore Dream Team. Just condition as usual, boost with the matching scent, and go.
Mine.
It's just too good.
The Lenore Dream Team. More of the scent you love.
Whatever you watch, if you have a TV, you must have a TV licence. It's the law. That's just one of the terms and conditions of life in Ireland. So get yours at tvlicence.ie or at any post office. This message is brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Margaret, we've the whole book till 11. McDonald's curry sauce makes chicken curry and chips curry. McDonald's, the secret to fulfillment.
Inside out, gotta figure it out. I'm feeling good, and it feels good to feel.
Start your day with Sunsweet Amazing Prune Juice.
You're welcome back. A review has found more than 150 babies were illegally registered by one Dublin agency over 25 years. The report into the illegal registration of babies' births by such agencies is due to be published in the coming weeks. The Sisters of Charity, who ran St Patrick's Guild in Dublin, have said they would support an inquiry.
Imagine being stripped of your identity in your mid-50s. That's what happened to London-based Anne O'Connor, who grew up as one of 3 children in North County Dublin. Her life changed when 2 toothless social workers sought to meet her 2 years ago out of the blue.
It told me basically that I'm not the birth child of my parents. My birthday is not the day that I've been celebrating all my life. I was meant to be born in St Rita's. I was born in Sorrento in Cabra Park. And that was it. Nothing else. The word to use is identityless. I didn't have an identity. I wasn't who I thought I was, but I don't know who I am.
Anne's birth certificate had been falsified. Her file was marked adopted from birth. It was an illegal birth registration. Through dogged determination, she managed to get a copy of her real birth certificate dated the 25th of February 64. It contained her true identity. The fake version was issued a day later with a new name, listing her adoptive parents as her birth parents.
I would say I was lucky. Perhaps the midwife at the nursing home registered my birth. But that's not been the case for others. Their births are not registered.
The Sisters of Charity, who ran St Patrick's Guild, says it recognises the hurt and emotional distress those who were adopted are experiencing. It says it would welcome and support the establishment of an inquiry into adoption practices in the state since 1922. This is something the Adoption Rights Alliance also says is needed.
The forced removal of children from their
mothers in particular, the enforced disappearance of the mothers. I mean, these top the list for human rights abuses, and we need international expertise, it seems to me, to tackle those very, very big topics.
Anne is one of 151 children now confirmed to have been illegally registered at St Patrick's Guild. Her parents are now deceased, and while she has many unanswered questions, at 56 years of age, she does find solace in knowing the truth.
Something about the truth that settles your system. I wish they were around to be able to talk to them. I loved them, still love them. I can't stop that. I need space to grieve this.
The review of adoption agencies, including St Patrick's Guild, will be published by the Department of Children in the coming weeks. Alva Keneally, RTE News.
And RTE Investigates will be examining Ireland's illegal adoptions in a special programme on Wednesday night. Now, Gardaí in County Cork have appealed for help from the public in identifying skeletal remains found by workmen on the former Middleton to Youghal railway line. The remains, which are those of a woman, were found on the 5th of January last.
Workmen clearing the ground for a greenway along the former Middleton to Youghal railway line uncovered a skull close to the surface during excavation work on the afternoon of January 5th. Gardaí sealed off the area and began a search. Over 9 days, they recovered a complete skeleton. Tests have established the remains belong to a woman aged over 70 who was 5 feet to 5 feet 2, or just over 1.5 metres tall. Gardaí know the woman was large-framed, wore dentures and suffered from arthritis. Samples taken from the remains have been compared to the national DNA database. No match with any missing persons case or existing investigation has been established.
Someone in the community must know how the female skeletal remains came to be at this locally known tipping point off the Shanty Path at Roxborough, Middleton, County Cork. And Garda Síochána are determined to formally identify deceased and treat her with the respect and dignity that she deserves.
Local people say there's a desire for closure so that the woman's remains can be returned to her family.
This was an elderly woman, and, you know, she had a family most likely, but certainly she was somebody's daughter. You know, I think for the family, whoever they are and wherever they may be, you know, closure is very, very important in things like this. So I would appeal to anybody to come forward, because somebody somewhere has to know something about what has happened.
Gardaí have confirmed that their investigation is a criminal one, although they won't speculate on the specific nature of that investigation. Their immediate priority is to establish the identity of this woman and how and why she ended up here. Pascal Sheehy, RTE News, Middleton, County Cork.
Now, Adam is here with all the business news.
Thanks, Vivian. Well, alongside its announcement of branch closures, Bank of Ireland also announced its annual results today. The bank made an underlying pre-tax loss of €374 million last year. That's mainly due to the €1.1 billion it set aside to deal with potential bad loans arising from the COVID-19 pandemic. The bank's income also fell due to lower lending volumes and ongoing impact of low interest rates. Bank of Ireland has begun to charge interest on some of its bigger customers' deposits, and its CEO, Francesca McDonagh, said they would not rule out extending that to other large deposits.
But I wouldn't put off the table sort of very, high net worth individuals of very, very large deposit amounts being excluded from negative interest rates. This is a monetary policy that is meant to stimulate businesses and households into investing and spending. It is also a material cost to the bank to absorb. So there is some passing on that has already happened, and we will look to appropriately expand that over time as well if we continue in this low interest rate environment.
Air and sea travel was well down in January, according to the Central Statistics Office. There were just over 108,000 arrivals into the country in the month, most of whom came by air. That figure compares to more than 1.2 million who came to the country last January, a 91.3% fall. Almost 70% of arrivals in January came from other EU countries, while 14% were from the UK. Meanwhile, there were just under 119,000 departures, a more than 90% fall in the month. About half of those were travelling to other EU countries. Taking a look at the markets now, the ASIC 20 index is 1.2% higher. AIB and Bank of Ireland have gained. Kingspan and Glanbia are both lower. In London, the FTSE index is up 1.1%, while the DAX in Frankfurt is 0.7% higher. The CAC in Paris is up 1.1%, while Tokyo's Nikkei index closed 2.4% higher. And on the currencies, euro, sterling and $1 and 20.4 cents. That's the business news. Back to you, Vivian.
Thanks, Adam. The TV series The Crown and the late actor Chadwick Boseman were among the winners at last night's Golden Globe Awards, which took place in the US. The socially distanced ceremony contained a mixture of live presentation and remote appearances from nominees.
Welcome to the 2021 Golden Globe Awards.
It had some of the trappings of the usual awards ceremonies, but its hosts were on opposite sides of the continent and the audience a socially distanced group of essential workers, while the nominees watched on from their sofas. Among the big winners on the night was the TV series The Crown, which won Best Drama as well as 3 acting awards.
That's quite a surprise.
Chadwick Boseman.
The late Chadwick Boseman was named Best Actor in a Film Drama for his part in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. The award was accepted by his wife, Taylor Simone.
You are one of those lucky people that can travel anywhere.
Yes, ma'am, I know.
And they sometimes call you nomads.
Director Chloe Zhao made history by becoming the first Asian woman and second woman ever to win the Best Director award for Nomadland.
Thank you for making beautiful, beautiful movies.
The awards had been criticised for a lack of diversity among voters, and although a number of black actors did feature among the winners, the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, which organises the event, promised they would tackle the issue of representation. There were no wins for the Irish nominees, which included Kilkenny's Cartoon Saloon, but all eyes are now on the Oscar nominations, which will be announced later this month. Sinead Crowley, RTE News.
And that is the lunchtime news this Monday. Good afternoon.
Listen to your heart. Make cholesterol-reducing plant sterols part of your daily routine with Avonmore Heart Active Milk.
Hi there and good afternoon. Well, high pressure at the moment is bringing us settled conditions and it's centred to the east of Ireland, and that's good news for the first week of meteorological spring. Many rain belts are going to stay well away from us at the moment out here in the Atlantic, and there will be cooler, duller weather pushing in later in the week, but in the meantime a lot of dry, fine conditions. Now, there was some mist and fog last night and this morning, which is continuing to clear away now, though it will still be quite cloudy along the south coast. Otherwise, though, a lot of dry, sunny weather for the afternoon, and top temperatures will range from 8 to 12 degrees in mostly light to moderate breezes. Now, the winds will continue quite light tonight. It'll be fairly cold though, with temperatures dropping back to between -2 and +2. It'll be coldest in the Midlands, where there will be some frost likely. There'll also be some mist and fog developing again, and again that'll be quite slow to clear on Tuesday morning. When it does so though, it'll be another dry day with some good sunny spells, continuing a little bit cloudier though along the south coast again tomorrow, and colder along the east and north coast. That's where temperatures will reach just 7 or 8 degrees. Elsewhere, values of 10 to 12 degrees with mostly light to moderate easterly breezes. On Wednesday then, temperatures will be similar to tomorrow, around 7 to 12 degrees. It'll be quite cloudy along Leinster and East Munster. However, elsewhere it'll be generally dry with some good spells of sunshine, just perhaps a little bit of light drizzle, and still those light winds continuing. A different day in store than on Thursday. Cooler, duller weather pushing in with some drizzle around coastal parts, and very cold at that stage, just 5 to 8 degrees. But at least winds will be light and it'll stay mainly dry. Don't forget, if you're out and about, stay within 5 kilometres of your home, but snap us a picture and send it in to us on email or on any of our social media channels using hashtag #RTEweather. That's it from me for the moment. Good afternoon.
Listen to your heart. Make cholesterol-reducing plant sterols part of your daily routine with Avonmore Heart Active Milk.
At AIB, we've always backed your belief with our competitive fixed rates, which is why
Whether you're looking to move, buy your first home, or switch your mortgage to AIB, we'll back you. And we're also offering you our lowest rates for higher energy rated homes. Talk to our mortgage team about our competitive fixed rates or apply online at aib.ie. AIB, we back belief.
Get the power to do more with Sky Broadband. From just 35